One Piece Film Red comes to ultra high definition Blu-ray in the UK from Anime Limited in the form of this collector's edition, which as of recording is exclusive to Anime Limited's All the Anime online store and is apparently limited to 1,500 copies. For now, this is the only release of the film on UHD Blu-ray with any English options, and from what I can tell, it's the only UHD Blu-ray release outside of Japan at all. If you're from outside the UK and you're planning to import this, bear in mind that while the UHD disc is region-free, theoretically every UHD Blu-ray should be region-free, that's part of the format, the two regular Blu-rays are locked to region B, so you won't be able to watch the 1080p version of the film or any of the bonus features. You will just be getting the UHD Blu-ray of the film. Inside this quite sturdy slipcase, we get the film in UHD, the film on a regular Blu-ray, and a bonus disc with 3 episodes of the One Piece anime and a couple of other things, and a whole bunch of art cards and physical extras. I think they legally have to include these BBFC logos on the cover, but they've just included it as a sticker over the top of the shrink wrap, so it just comes off, which is a nice touch. It stops it covering up the artwork. You can also see that the film's logo is embossed, which is kind of subtle, but very nice. The spine is very plain, it's just the movie's logo, but that's probably what you want if you're a collector, and this is a collector's thing. The Toei logo and all the copyright stuff is on the bottom, and then the actual description of the Blu-ray, that it's the collector's edition and now Anime Limited and yada yada, that's all on the top. And the Anime Limited logo even has its own little straw hat. On the back there's a slip of paper with the description of the movie, the contents, all that stuff. It's actually not a J card, it is just a piece of paper that's between the box and the shrink wrap, but it does slot into the case itself if you want to keep it, which is what I'll be doing. The video and audio specs are weirdly vague, it just says Japanese English, even though it's worth advertising that the Japanese track is a Dolby Atmos track. You don't get that on the American release, and it just says Image 4K Ultra HD. Maybe they've not written 2160p because it's an upscale? The back of the actual slipcover has this Uta logo on it, which is reflective and shiny and looks quite nice. The way that the discs are stored is that we get 2 regular 14mm Blu-ray cases. There's a UHD case with the UHD disc in, and then a standard Blu-ray case with the 2 regular Blu-rays, the film disc and the bonus disc, which seems unnecessary to me. I don't know, it just seems like they're trying to bulk out the set to make it physically larger to better justify the price. If they really want to put it over 2 cases, I would have preferred to have had one case that had artwork from the film on, and then another case just for the bonus disc, as a dedicated case for the 3 bonus episodes, which did have their own standalone release in Japan, so that would have made some sense. And I just think it would have been aesthetically nicer to have it as 2 titles in a slipcover rather than the same movie twice, which just feels unnecessary for a 3-disc set. If I'm not mistaken, these 2 bits of artwork are used for the Japanese Collector's Edition, which is a digipack, and the artwork that's used for the standard Blu-ray is also used for an HMV exclusive edition of the regular Blu-ray here in the UK. The UHD disc is a triple layer 100GB one, whereas the standard Blu-ray of the film is a dual layer 50GB Blu-ray, and the bonus disc is a single layer. From what I can tell, the Japanese release used a dual layer 66GB disc for their UHD version, so I don't know, maybe this is a higher bitrate encode than even the Japanese release, or maybe it's just because they've got extra audio tracks for the English dub and the other accessibility options. As you'd expect, the UHD disc and the first regular Blu-ray have the same content on them, but there's actually a couple of minor differences with the video track that they use, which I'll get into later, but they both just have the film on. It's effectively the same content. So the most substantial of the physical printed extras is the 40-page booklet, which contains 38 character posters in Japanese, which is nice. We get to look at the unique outfits that they designed for each of the characters, but it's not that interesting, to be honest. When I pre-ordered this, I didn't realise that the booklet was going to be this basic. Previously, when Anime Limited have done booklets with their collector's editions, they've had production artwork, interviews, that sort of thing. I mean, it's high quality, it's the actual printing of it and stuff. It's just not that interesting. It's fairly bland promo art of just the characters as they appear in the movie. Next up, we have the 3 art cards, which, again, they're okay. They're high-quality printings, but they're just the Straw Hats in the 2 new outfits that they're given for the movie. I don't really see why these are separate art cards when they could have just been in the booklet. This 3rd art card, by the way, is the artwork that Crunchyroll use for their Blu-ray. So by buying this, you do get physical copies of quite a lot of the artwork that the other home video releases are using. And on the back, you just get the plain One Piece Film Red logo. Moving on, we have a concert ticket for New Genesis, which you do briefly see in the film. I mean, it is effectively just another art card, but I do like the fact that it is kind of a prop replica. The reflective effect on it is really quite good, and the concert tickets themselves are numbered, which is how they've numbered the set, which I really like, because you would expect to see that kind of data on a concert ticket. It's a bit nicer and more subtle than just numbering the box. This is low-key maybe my favourite bit of the physical stuff that comes with it, just because it's quite neat. There's also a sticker. And finally we have an A3 poster, which just uses the same artwork as the cover but cropped. But it is nice to have, because this is the actual UK theatrical poster. And it's nice to have something that's that specific, even if it's not terribly unique. You know, it's a nice reminder of the hype from when the film was actually coming out theatrically. It's been folded, and in that respect it doesn't look great, but to be fair, it is advertised as a folded poster, so you can't really complain. You are getting what you were advertised. I'm going to talk a bit about the video and audio quality, but with the caveat that I'm not watching it on a particularly large 4K screen, and the HDR capability of this isn't full range. I also only have a 3.1 sound system, so I can't talk about the Dolby Atmos track at all, other than to confirm that it's there. But I will just say a little bit flicking through the 2 discs and how different they look. The film is encoded in 2160p with Dolby Vision and HDR10, but as I mentioned before, it is upscaled from 2K. Mind you, last time I checked, even like the most recent DreamWorks films are still only being rendered in 2K, so it's not too surprising that Toei isn't working in native 4K yet. Flicking through the 2 discs, there isn't a ton of difference. Obviously there's not really any fine detail or grain, the sort of stuff that would be immediately noticeable. The line art looks just as sharp in both of them. There's a bit of aliasing on both discs, I found. But even without me being able to watch it with full range HDR, the difference in the contrast, it looked a lot punchier on the 4K disc. The line art in particular looks more striking. And obviously if you've seen this film, you'll know there's a lot of bright, colourful stuff in this film that works really well with HDR. And also scenes set at night with flames. It's the kind of stuff that HDR is best suited to. I think, if anything, the HDR does make the bit of aliasing that's inherent to the original footage a bit more noticeable, just because it's making everything a bit punchier. But my guess is that's just how the animation looks. The CGI has quite a bit of aliasing in places as well, but again, it looks like that's just how it was rendered. That's not a problem with the disc. Honestly, the first disc I put in was the UHD disc. I looked at it and I went, oh, is this native 4K? Looked a bit closer, realised it had aliasing, compared it to the other disc and said, oh no, this looks pretty good as well, but I was impressed when I first looked at the UHD disc. So I will say that if you're just going by the amount of detail and sharpness in the line art, the 2 discs are pretty much indistinguishable. But on the other hand, if I just showed you the 4K disc, I think anyone watching this at a normal viewing distance wouldn't be able to tell that it was an upscale. The truth is, 2K still looks really good, so it being upscaled isn't really an issue. It's not a game changer, but it's still a pretty striking looking disc. And that's going from someone who doesn't get the benefit of the Dolby Vision stuff. In terms of encoding issues, there's two, although the first one is just there's some very subtle banding in places, which it's an anime release, so that's just par for the course. But there's also, from what I can tell, just a straight up encoding mistake during one of the songs. I've put a screenshot here. There's macro blocking on it, and it's quite noticeable. And it's not on the Blu-ray, which sucks. It is only this shot. I've watched the whole thing, and the only one I noticed was this shot. Even in more complicated scenes with like big crowds and particle effects, there weren't any macro blocking issues or mosquito nose or any of that I could see. So I guess this is just a glitch when it was being encoded or whatever. I mean, I know it's only a few seconds, but if you're buying any UHD Blu-ray, you're buying it for the picture quality. That's the reason why you're buying that over the normal Blu-ray. I mean, okay, it's a bit of a cliche, but it has one job, right? I don't want to be super negative about this release. It's an easy enough thing to let slide, but it's in a really cool shot, and it's just a bit disappointing. If you're going to ask me to spend like 20 quid on extra printed stuff as the only way to get this disc, I'm allowed to nitpick it if it's not perfect. As far as the audio options go, on the UHD disc we have original Japanese audio in Dolby Atmos and the Crunchyroll English dub in lossless 5.1. I watched it with the English dub and found that the dialogue was a little bit hard to hear. Sounded like the kind of low and end frequencies had been clipped off or something, but a lot of Crunchyroll, formerly Funimation's dubs, have that issue, so I think that that's just how the English dialogue sounds, and the clips that I'd watched online had this kind of muddy audio as well, so I think this is just how the dub sounds, and there's not really anything they can do about that. There might be something Crunchyroll can do about it, but this isn't a Crunchyroll release, so they got given bad audio, they're kind of stuck with it, I guess. And yes, I understand the irony that I'm complaining about the audio being muffled while talking to you in a recording that sounds like this. Just to clarify, the English dub doesn't use English versions of any of Uta's songs. You might have heard English versions of those songs sung by the actress who plays her in the English dub, but those weren't recorded for the dub, they were just recorded by the actress herself and then uploaded to her YouTube channel and Spotify and stuff. This is how it was played theatrically, this is how it is on the Crunchyroll Blu-ray. The English dub officially has all of the music in Japanese, except for that lullaby that Shanks sings, I guess. And it's also maybe worth mentioning that the subtitles for the songs aren't direct translations of the Japanese lyrics as far as I can tell. They're singable English versions of the lyrics, which obviously have had to reword things slightly to be singable rather than a direct translation. If you watch any of the other bits of the One Piece anime with music sequences with Japanese and English subtitles, obviously you can't sing along to the subtitles because they're just direct translations of what's being sung. Not the case here. So we do kind of have dub titles for the songs, even though the songs aren't dubbed. It's a bit of a weird one. I guess the music label considers this like the canonical English version of the songs. I'm not a huge fan of that. And yeah, it can be a bit distracting that a character will be speaking in English and then just they'll switch to Japanese. Although I guess it makes some logic because when she's singing she's using a devil fruit power, so it is what it is.
Sorry, babe, we're pirates. Money and power speak louder than music to guys like us.
This is awful!
They're ruining the concert.
Those pirates don't care about anyone but themselves.
What a shame. In that case, I'll make a song out of you.
Eh?
The subtitles and audio options are locked. You just have these 4 options on the menu, and you can't use the audio or subtitle functions on your remote at all. So you have to watch the movie with Japanese audio if you're watching it with English subtitles. You can't watch the English dub with English subtitles. And while we're at it, you can't turn the subtitles off if you're watching the Japanese version, nor can you turn the subtitles for the songs off if you're watching the English dub. I can see why, for licensing reasons, they don't want Japanese fans buying a cheaper English language release and just turning the subtitles off, but it would have been nice for there to have been an option to play the English dub without any lyrics for the songs. One of the more interesting things about this release is we get a couple of accessibility options for the very first time. We have the Japanese audio with an English SDH subtitle track. This adds non-dialogue notes, indicators of who's speaking, sound effects, music, the stuff that you would get if you turned on the subtitles on an English language movie. Putting this as an option for the Japanese audio makes sense as well, because presumably there are more people who need subtitles throughout the entire movie than people who need subtitles for just sections of it and are watching it in English. And then the final track we have is a lossless stereo track with Japanese dialogue and English audio description. Yep, you heard me correct. Japanese dialogue with English audio description. So the narrator, or actually a second narrator, has to read out all of the subtitles over the top of the Japanese actors speaking, or either side if there's enough room.
Everyone, the bad pirates, turned into an uplifting song. It's peaceful now, so don't worry.
The crowd roar and punch the air.
Yes, even though Shanks is her father, she's different from him. I'm relieved. You got a lot stronger, Utah.
Which just sounds, in places impossible to follow. If the movie hadn't been dubbed into English, that would be the best solution they would have, but there's an English dub. Even from the point of view of making it easier to follow with the audio description, it sounds like the 2 narrators have to kind of fight for time, and you can barely hear the original audio.
There are mermaids here too. They look quite excited. Why are we dressed like this? If you come in costume to liven up her first show, you'll get these. Oh, that's why. Can't wait. She's the most beloved person in the world now. Is she that great? It may sound strange coming from me, the Soul King, but her singing is on another level. UTA. Uta-chan. How stupid. Say it again, you shitty swordsman. I'll grill you nice and juicy. Try it, spiral sign. It's gonna start. Hey, the show's gonna start. Luffy.
Stage lights shine.
We can choose the way of our future. Try a brand new path. If I change the world.
Anime Limited should be applauded for including the accessibility options. It's really commendable that they added them. I just don't follow why you would use the Japanese audio when you have a perfectly good English track. Mind you, they'd have to be narrating over the songs anyway, because the songs are just in Japanese. If you do want to watch the musical sequences without any subtitles at all, this is the only way to do it without ripping the disc or using an unofficial Blu-ray player, because this option turns all of the subtitles off.
My voice carries birds in flight. With every note they go higher and higher. See how I move with such grace, just like a dancer on the stage. Your voice carries life within, calls me to action again and again. If you're hurt and you need me, I'll always be there, I swear. I'll always protect you. We'll have the chance to go to brand new heights. You and I, unstoppable when we're together. We can have it all.
The standard Blu-ray with the film on is pretty much identical. The Japanese Dolby Atmos track is swapped out for just a lossless 5.1 track, and also it's a slightly different version of the movie in terms of localization. None of the content's changed, but the UHD disc is all in Japanese visually. The The credits are in Japanese, the on-screen text is in Japanese. The only stuff that's in English is stuff that's diegetic, that's like newspapers that the characters are reading. When, for example, the elders are introduced, that little scroll at the bottom is in Japanese, and there's a subtitle on the top. If you're watching the regular Blu-ray, that little scroll is swapped out with an English version. The same thing for the opening credits. They're in English on the regular Blu-ray, but they're in Japanese on the UHD disc. So, okay, it's pretty cool we get both. I mean, it's a bit odd that the subtitled screening I watched in the cinema had all of the English text on, but was a Japanese version with English subtitles. I mean, if it was just one was in Japanese, one was in English, I would appreciate that because it justifies the standard Blu-ray a bit better. It's more of a definitive package of different versions of the film, depending on where you watched it. But the regular Blu-ray is actually a weird mixture of the two. In the sequence with all the newspapers, originally the newspapers are in English, and there is Japanese text, Japanese subtitles, summarising the newspapers with text that's not actually on the newspapers, but is like a summary with more information. The version I saw in the cinemas, that text was translated to English, so you had an English newspaper and an English subtitle. And on the Japanese version, English newspaper, Japanese subtitle, and then on the UHD disc, a subtitle on top translating the Japanese subtitle. Ugh, this is getting confusing. But the regular Blu-ray just removes the text entirely. I mean, it's not the same thing that was on the newspapers, so you are technically missing stuff, although it's pretty obvious what's going on in that scene. And then the closing credits are in Japanese, even though, again, when I watched it in the cinema, the credits were in English. They only referred to the Japanese cast. They didn't refer to any of the dub stuff, but they were translated. That's how it was handled in the previous movies as well. So it looks like Toei has like a Japanese version of the movie and then like an international version with English text. The UHD has the Japanese version, but then the regular Blu-ray switches between the two. Doesn't really matter, but it is just a little bit odd. And now we move on to the bonus disc, which contains a bunch of content, all of which is included with uncompressed Japanese audio and locked English subtitles. Starting off with the most substantial thing, those 3 bonus episodes, which is episode 1029, 1030, and the 5th of the Wano Arcs recap episodes. The first 2 episodes are prologues to Film Red, and then the third one is a recap episode about the history between Luffy and Shanks. I'm really glad that these are included because, well, the third episode is pretty disposable. I mean, if you're buying this set, you've got the episodes that it takes clips from anyway. The first 2, though, do expand on what we see in the movie. They've done these tie-in episodes in the past, and before they've never had much to do with the film, but in this case, you're almost getting like 3/4 of an hour of deleted scenes from the film. I think some people will argue that these are essential viewing. It's a little bit surprising that they're included because, as I've mentioned, this set is released by Anime Limited. The actual TV series itself in the UK is released by Crunchyroll, so somehow Anime Limited were able to get the rights to just these 3 episodes to include as bonus features. With one pretty major caveat. The Crunchyroll release from a few weeks ago also included these episodes, and included them with Japanese and English audio. So there is a dub for all 3 of these episodes, but it's not here. And you can't tell me that like the dub isn't important, that no one's buying it to watch the dub, because the dub of the movie's on there, so people must be buying this set to watch the English dub. Compared to the Crunchyroll release, this is incomplete. And what's really frustrating is it's unclear how Crunchyroll are going to handle these episodes going forward. They've included all of the movie tie-ins just in broadcast order where they normally went before, but they've never bundled them with the movie before. In other words, there's a good chance that when Crunchyroll get to these episodes on their season box sets, they're just going to skip them. And the UK discs, which are also released by Crunchyroll, reuse the same American discs with the region code changed. So because the dub isn't included here, we might just not get the dub on disc in the UK. Moving on, we have the making of One Piece Film Red, which is a little 23-minute documentary. Oddly, this was advertised on All the Anime's website as just being an interview with the director. So I thought this was going to be something new, or at least something that hadn't been translated before, but in fact it was uploaded to Crunchyroll Extra's YouTube channel around the same time the movie came out. I don't know where this came from originally, but it does look like it's a promotional thing. It's a very surface level look at the making of the movie, but you know, it interviews a lot of high up people creatively who worked on the film. I've included screenshots of the credits so you can see who's interviewed. It's good to have on disc though. That means that with the addition of this 23-minute feature, we now, between all of the UK releases of the One Piece movies, including the ones from Manga Entertainment, and even the Funimation ones, we now have a total of 23 minutes going behind the scenes with the Japanese creators of One Piece. Seriously though, it is better to have it on disc. It's higher quality, there's no adverts. Who knows how long the upload on Crunchyroll's YouTube channel is going to last. I mean, they could remove that tomorrow, but the disc will still be there. I am genuinely glad that it's on here. I know that there was a collector's edition in Japan which had its own bonus disc. It would have been really nice to have that translated and included here, but as far as I'm aware, that's never been translated to English, so it's understandable why that stuff isn't included. And then to cap things off, we have the web preview, which is just the first teaser for it, and the UK theatrical trailer, which is actually just the Japanese theatrical trailer with English subtitles. So yeah, overall, I mean, it's quite an impressive package in terms of runtime, but like all of the physical extras, this is just promotional stuff. But I'm glad it's on the disc, and I'm glad that they did include the bonus episodes in some form. Even if you mainly watch it dubbed, you'll get something out of it being included in Japanese, I would have hoped. It's still definitely the best bonus features package that we've got from one of these One Piece movies. So, overall, do I recommend this collector's edition of One Piece Film Red? Not quite. When I bought it, I paid the early bird offer price, which was £50, and now it's going for £60, and at the end of the day, I just think it's overpriced for what it is. And you know, making the UHD disc exclusive to this collector's edition, it's FOMO, it's fear of missing out at the end of the day, and it's not the most pro-consumer thing in the world, even if maybe it's a bit of a necessary evil with how the home media market is at the moment. I mean, not to be too cynical, but it almost feels like Anime Limited had this standard price that they have for collector's editions, that they had to sell it at a certain price, and then said, okay, what can we include? What can we have as the booklet? What physical goodies can we come with it? And then Toei handed them a bunch of promotional stuff that wasn't particularly interesting and they had to make do. Don't get me wrong, I was really glad that Anime Limited picked up the license for this, because I thought, cool, they'll put it out in UHD. They'll make a really nice set for it. And physically, the set is very high quality. But at the end of the day, if you asked me whether I would pay 15 or 20 quid for that booklet, the art cards, the poster, and the ticket, and the sticker, I just don't think as a package that's worth the extra money. I mean, they announced when the pre-orders were going to go live weeks early, so I was expecting this to sell out in a matter of hours, but, well, as I say, it's been out for a few days now and you can still buy it, so I don't know, maybe it'll be on sale at some point. Hopefully, down the line, they'll release just a regular UHD version, just the 3 discs in a normal case, which I would recommend, because it's the best way to buy the movie with English options. But then the final nail in the coffin is, as I say, the lack of an English dub for the bonus episodes. So if you're buying this for the English dub primarily, yeah, I would recommend importing the American set by Crunchyroll, especially as it's not like there's a massive difference between the Blu-ray and the UHD Blu-ray. If you just want to watch the episodes in the movie in Japanese and English subtitles, you want these discs, because they're the best version to get. If you want to watch it English dubbed, this isn't a complete release. And overall, I'm just a bit disappointed. I don't even think it's a bad release of the movie. I think it's a good release of the movie, but if you're going to charge this much and make this disc exclusive to a collector's edition, it needs to be better than good. It needs to be complete. It needs to have all of the content from the other releases, and it needs to have bonus stuff that expands on what you're getting, and unfortunately, I can't say that. I was really looking forward to this set, and I really enjoyed watching the 4K version of the movie, but it's just kind of hard for me to justify the price that I spent. Hopefully, Anime Limited will get the rights to whatever the next One Piece movie is, and hopefully they'll be able to get their hands on some more interesting stuff for their booklets and their little collectibles. So that's Anime Limited's ultra high definition Blu-ray collector's edition of One Piece Film Red. I suppose it's up to you whether it's worth that much.